What if you woke up tomorrow and the grocery store shelves were completely empty? No bread, no meat, no produce, just bare metal shelves and panic-stricken crowds. It sounds dramatic, but history has shown us time and time again that supply chains can break down faster than anyone expects. A natural disaster, an economic collapse, a global crisis, and suddenly what's sitting in your pantry becomes the most important thing you own. Here's the hard truth. Most households have less than 3 days worth of food at any given time. 3 days, that's it. But there's a smarter way to live, and it doesn't require spending thousands of dollars or turning your garage into a bunker. In this video, we're counting down 15 survival foods that can last for decades, and some of them literally last forever. You're going to learn exactly what these foods are, why they last so long, and most importantly, how to store them the right way so they're actually there when you need them. Some of these might already be sitting in your kitchen right now, and you had no idea just how powerful they really are. So make sure you watch all the way to the end, because the last few items on this list are ones most people completely overlook, and they could make all the difference. Welcome to Essential Pantry, the channel where we help everyday people build smarter, more self-sufficient kitchens. If you're new here, we're glad you found us. Hit that subscribe button and give this video a like so more people can find this information when they need it most. Now, let's get into it. Let's start with something so common, so ordinary, that most people never stop to think about how extraordinary it actually is. Sugar. Plain, simple, white granulated sugar. It has been used by humans for thousands of years, and when stored correctly, it will last for thousands more. Sugar doesn't spoil because it creates an environment where bacteria and mold simply cannot survive. There's no moisture, no protein, nothing for microorganisms to feed on. Scientists have even found perfectly preserved sugar in ancient Egyptian tombs. That's not a shelf life, that's immortality. Now, sugar is useful in far more ways than just sweetening your coffee. It preserves other foods, it provides a quick source of calories when your body needs energy fast, and it makes difficult situations a little more bearable, because morale matters more than most preppers will admit. When it comes to storage, keep it simple. Pour your sugar into a Mylar bag and seal it up. One important note here, do not add an oxygen absorber. This is a mistake a lot of beginners make. Because sugar has no moisture in it, an oxygen absorber will actually cause it to harden into a rock-solid brick that you'll never be able to use. Mylar bag, no oxygen absorber, cool, dry place. That's it. Right alongside sugar, you'll find another ancient preservative that has been used across every culture in human history, salt. Salt is arguably the most important survival food on this entire list, not just because of how long it lasts, but because of what it can do. Salt is a preservative. Before refrigeration existed, salt was how humanity kept meat from rotting. It draws out moisture, it inhibits bacterial growth, and it has been used to cure and store food for thousands of years. Like sugar, salt lasts indefinitely. Now, iodized salt, the kind with added iodine, can see some degradation of that iodine content after a few years, but the salt itself remains perfectly safe to eat and use. If you're planning to use salt for preserving meat specifically, look for curing salt, which is formulated for that purpose and far more effective for long-term meat preservation. And just like sugar, store your salt without an oxygen absorber. Same reason. It doesn't need it, and adding one will only cause problems. Now we move into territory that feels a little more exciting. Honey. If there's one food on this list that captures people's imagination, it's honey. Archaeologists have discovered honey in ancient Egyptian tombs that is over 3,000 years old, and it was still perfectly edible. That's not folklore, that's documented history. Honey lasts forever because of its chemistry. It's extremely low in moisture, highly acidic, and contains natural hydrogen peroxide. That combination makes it completely inhospitable to bacteria. Nothing can grow in it, nothing can break it down. But honey isn't just a long-lasting sweetener. Raw, unfiltered honey has genuine medicinal properties that have been recognized for centuries. It has antimicrobial properties that make it effective for treating minor wounds, soothing sore throats, and supporting the immune system. In a survival situation where access to medicine may be limited, that matters enormously. Store your honey in its original container. Glass is ideal, in a cool, dark place out of light. You don't need to do anything special to it. No Mylar bag, no oxygen absorber, no repackaging. Just keep it sealed, keep it out of direct sunlight, and it will outlast you. Next up is something that surprises people when they hear it: pure vanilla extract. Most of us think of vanilla extract as a baking ingredient we grab off the shelf when we're making cookies, but pure vanilla extract is essentially a preservation miracle hiding in a tiny brown bottle. The reason it lasts indefinitely comes down to one thing: alcohol content. Pure vanilla extract contains a minimum of 35% alcohol, and alcohol is a natural preservative. As long as the bottle stays sealed, that alcohol keeps the extract stable and usable as long as you'll ever need it. The key word here is pure. Imitation vanilla extract, which is made with synthetic vanillin and water-based solutions, does not have the same shelf life. For long-term storage, always choose pure vanilla extract. Store it exactly the same way you would honey, in its original container, in a cool, dark place, away from heat and light.
While we're talking about liquid pantry staples with incredible staying power, we have to talk about white vinegar. White vinegar is one of the most underrated items you can stockpile, and here's why. It does double duty. In the kitchen, it's a flavoring agent, a pickling base, a food preservative in its own right, and a key ingredient in countless recipes. Outside the kitchen, it's a powerful, non-toxic cleaner that can sanitize surfaces, remove buildup, and replace a whole arsenal of chemical cleaning products. And unlike bleach, which many people think of as the go-to household disinfectant, white vinegar doesn't degrade. Bleach loses its effectiveness within about 6 months to a year of being opened. White vinegar, stored in its original sealed container, lasts indefinitely. That's a significant advantage when you're thinking about long-term preparedness. Buy a few large jugs, keep them sealed, and you've got a versatile survival tool that never loses its value. Now let's talk about something that flies under the radar in most survival food conversations: cornstarch. It's not glamorous, it's not exciting, but in a long-term survival kitchen, cornstarch is invaluable. It's your primary thickening agent. It's what turns a watery broth into a proper gravy, what gives your sauces body, and what keeps your baked goods structurally sound. Without it, a lot of cooking becomes significantly harder and less satisfying. Cornstarch lasts indefinitely when stored correctly, and this is where the storage method differs from sugar and salt. For cornstarch, you do want to use a Mylar bag with an oxygen absorber. The oxygen absorber helps maintain the quality and prevent any oxidation or moisture intrusion over time. Seal it up tight, label it with the date, and tuck it away. You won't need it every day, but when you do need it, you'll be very glad it's there. Corn syrup is another item that deserves a spot in your long-term pantry, particularly if you do any baking. Corn syrup is used to prevent sugar crystallization in candies and confections, to add moisture and softness to baked goods, and as a glaze for meats and pastries. It has a very long shelf life when stored properly, though it doesn't quite reach the lasts forever category that honey and sugar do. The key is keeping it in its original sealed container and storing it somewhere cool and stable. As long as it hasn't been contaminated or exposed to extreme temperatures, it will hold its quality for a very long time. On the subject of liquid sweeteners, pure maple syrup deserves the same attention we gave honey. Much like honey, pure maple syrup has a very high sugar content, and that sugar content is what drives its impressive shelf life. When properly sealed and stored in a cool, dark place, pure maple syrup can last for years, and some sources suggest indefinitely under the right conditions, particularly if kept refrigerated or frozen after opening. The important distinction is pure maple syrup. Pancake syrup, the cheap stuff that's mostly corn syrup with artificial flavoring, is not the same thing and doesn't carry the same benefits. Now we start getting into the foods that form the true caloric backbone of any serious survival pantry, and there is no better place to begin than white rice. White rice is, without exaggeration, one of the most important survival foods in the world. It is calorie-dense, it is carbohydrate-rich, it provides fast energy, and it is incredibly versatile across virtually every cuisine on Earth. You can eat it as a side dish, as a main course, as a base for soups and stews, as a breakfast porridge. It goes with almost everything. When white rice is vacuum sealed in Mylar bags with oxygen absorbers and stored in a cool, dry location, it can last between 20 and 30 years. That is not an exaggeration. That is documented and tested. The reason brown rice doesn't make this list is because its natural oils cause it to go rancid much faster, typically within 6 to 12 months. White rice, with those oils removed during milling, is extraordinarily stable. If you're building a serious food stockpile and white rice isn't at the center of it, you need to rethink your strategy. And wherever rice goes, dried beans should follow. These two foods together form one of the most powerful nutritional combinations in the history of human survival. Individually, neither rice nor beans contains all 9 essential amino acids, but together, combined in a single meal, they form a complete protein. That means in a situation where meat and other protein sources are scarce or unavailable, rice and beans together can meet your body's fundamental protein requirements. That knowledge alone could be life-saving. Dried beans, stored correctly in sealed containers and kept in a cool, dry environment, can last for 25 to 30 years. One thing worth noting is that beans benefit from periodic rotation more than some other items on this list. Very old beans become extremely hard and take much longer to cook. They're still safe to eat, but they're less palatable. Rotating your stock every few years keeps quality high. And beyond survival nutrition, beans are genuinely delicious. Black beans, kidney beans, pinto beans, lentils, a well-stocked bean supply gives you real variety and real meals. Here's one that catches most people completely off guard: popcorn. Regular, plain, dried popcorn kernels can last up to 30 years when stored properly in a cool, dry environment. Popcorn is a whole grain. It's a real food with real caloric value. And yes, in a survival situation, being able to make popcorn is genuinely good for morale in a way that's hard to overstate. But the real reason popcorn earns its place on this list goes beyond snacking. Dried popcorn kernels can be ground into cornmeal, giving you the ability to make cornbread, corn tortillas, corn porridge, and a variety of other foods from a single stored ingredient. That kind of versatility is exactly what you want in a...
The most important storage consideration for popcorn is moisture. If it gets wet, it loses its ability to pop. Keep it dry and sealed, and it will serve you for decades. Wheat berries are whole, unprocessed wheat kernels, and they are one of the most powerful foods you can store for long-term survival. Properly stored in a sealed container with oxygen absorbers, wheat berries can last 25 years or more. And unlike flour, which goes rancid relatively quickly, wheat berries retain their nutritional value and grinding potential for the long haul. When you're ready to use them, you have options. You can soak them and eat them as a grain, nutty, chewy, and surprisingly satisfying. You can sprout them for a fresh source of nutrition even in the middle of winter, or you can grind them into fresh whole wheat flour for bread, pancakes, pasta, and more. That last capability, the ability to grind your own flour from stored grain, is something that puts wheat berries in a category above almost any other survival food. Pair your stockpile with a simple hand-crank grain mill, and you have a long-term bread supply that most people couldn't even imagine. Let's talk about something that might not seem like a survival essential, but absolutely is: instant coffee. Beyond the obvious appeal of being able to have a warm, caffeinated drink in a difficult situation, coffee serves some deeply practical purposes in a long-term survival scenario. Caffeine is a genuine performance enhancer. It improves alertness, reduces fatigue, and helps with mental focus, all of which matter enormously when you're under stress and operating with limited resources. A cup of coffee in the morning can be the difference between a productive day and a miserable one when everything else in your life is uncertain. Instant coffee also has significant barter value. In any prolonged crisis, luxury items, coffee, chocolate, alcohol, tobacco, become extraordinarily valuable trading commodities. People who don't even drink coffee regularly will want it in a survival situation, which makes a stockpile of instant coffee a surprisingly powerful economic asset. Instant coffee stores well when kept sealed in a cool, dry place, and it has a shelf life that can extend many years beyond its printed date. Dried pasta is another cornerstone of the long-term survival pantry. Like rice, it's calorie-dense, versatile, and beloved across cultures. A pot of pasta is a real meal, not just fuel. When stored correctly in sealed Mylar bags with oxygen absorbers and kept in a cool, dry environment, dried pasta can last between 20 and 30 years. However, there's one practical consideration worth paying close attention to when you're packing pasta for long-term storage. Shape matters. Pasta with sharp edges or pointed ends, like penne or rigatoni, can puncture Mylar bags over time, compromising your seal and dramatically reducing shelf life. Opt for smoother shapes like spaghetti, fettuccine, or elbow macaroni when you're packing for long-term storage. It's a small detail that makes a significant difference. Powdered milk is one of those items that people often overlook because fresh milk is so accessible in everyday life. But in a survival situation, dairy becomes one of the first things to disappear, and powdered milk fills that gap in a way nothing else can. It can be reconstituted and drunk as milk, used in cooking and baking exactly as you would use fresh milk, added to soups and sauces for richness, or mixed into other foods for a caloric and protein boost. When stored correctly in Mylar bags with oxygen absorbers in a cool, dry environment, powdered milk can last 25 years or more. It's one of the most nutritionally valuable items you can have in a long-term pantry, providing protein, fat, calcium, and vitamins that can be genuinely difficult to obtain from shelf-stable sources alone. And finally, we come to freeze-dried meals. You've probably seen these on the shelves of camping stores or survival supply websites. Complete meals sealed in cans or pouches with shelf lives advertised at 25 to 30 years. They're convenient, they're lightweight, they require very little preparation, and they actually taste reasonably good. So why aren't they higher on this list? Cost. Freeze-dried meals are expensive, significantly more expensive per calorie than any other item we've discussed. Building a substantial food supply based primarily on freeze-dried meals would cost thousands of dollars. For that reason, they're not recommended as the foundation of your long-term pantry. However, they absolutely have a role to play. A small supply of freeze-dried meals is excellent for morale. Having something that feels like a real complete meal on a difficult day has genuine psychological value. They're also ideal for bug-out bags, where portability and convenience matter more than cost efficiency. Think of them as a supplement to your core pantry, not a replacement for it. So, there you have it. 15 survival foods that can last for decades, some of them for a lifetime. The beauty of this list is that none of these items are exotic or hard to find. Most of them are sitting on the shelves of your local grocery store right now, and all of them are affordable enough to build up gradually over time. You don't have to do it all at once. Start with a bag of rice, a container of salt, a jar of honey. Build from there. Every item you add to your pantry is one less thing to worry about if the unexpected happens, and in a world that keeps proving how unpredictable it can be, that peace of mind is worth more than almost anything. If you found this video helpful, please take a second to give it a like. It genuinely helps this channel reach more people who need this information. And if you're not subscribed yet, now is a great time. We put out regular content to help you build a smarter, more self-sufficient kitchen, one step at a time. Thanks for watching Essential Pantry.